This time on Sound Off Sports, we're hearing your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights trading Pavel Dorofeyev. Was it a good move? Was it a bad move? We get your take, plus more from the Fernando Mendoza interview. Let's do this thing. SOS starts right now.
Make some noise. This is Sound Off Sports, sponsored by Silver State Schools Credit Union.
Well, it's about that time. Welcome inside the den. I'm Mike Davis. This is Sound Off Sports. I'm joined by always my main man, my dude, James Edward Berkman, the fourth. James, a lot of good stuff happening. You got a great jersey on, right?
Yeah, man. This was, unfortunately, I have to admit this, but I got this from the game when they were in town, the Las Vegas series, the giveaway. No, it's not real. I wish it was.
It says 28 on the back. And
it does say Vegas 28 on the back, but no, this is just same thing everybody else gets. We don't get preferential treatment around here.
You deserve preferential treatment, my friend.
That would be great.
We're going to be getting into a lot of things today. We're going to talk a little bit of LeBron James later on in the show, leaving the Lake Show. We're going to have more from my one-on-one conversation with Fernando Mendoza, my dude. But we got to start with the big news from the Vegas Golden Knights, as Kelly McCrimmon, he's always got his hands in something, and ahead of the draft, during the draft, he trades Pavel Dorofeyev for a pretty good haul, actually, and for a team that really needed his scoring touch, a guy who is homegrown talent, a third-round pick himself, one of only 11 players in the past 2 years to have over 30 goals. He was the leading goal scorer, this winger, for the team, but they trade him to the New York Rangers. Chris Drury making the trade for the Rangers. And James, I thought it was a pretty good haul. Listen, in a salary cap league, you can't pay everybody. Pavel was making about $1.5 million this year. Now he's set to make 7 years, $11 million a year, this guy. Yeah. So you couldn't afford him.
No, and that feels like a little bit of an overpay, and I'm going to get into that, but I mean, for a guy that, if you're Kelly McCrimmon and the Knights, that you weren't going to be able to keep around anyway, as he was going to be a free agent starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
To get back, what? A first this year, a third this year, and then a conditional first the next year? I mean, for a guy that you weren't going to be able to keep around anyway, to get that kind of haul in return seems like a fleece to me.
And that's the benefit of having he was a restricted free agent,
right?
Which helps a little bit with that wheeling and dealing. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. And we all know this was a team, they needed draft capital. They were depleted. They're losing a second-round draft pick just because of not going to media availability. So if you believe in your scouting, you believe in your front office, you can grow and develop players like a Pavel Dorofeyev, and he's a third-round pick. To have more of those draft capital, that draft picks, is a big deal for a team that needs to sustain success, because you can't just be a top-heavy team paying everybody.
Well, now you free up, potentially, cap room to make a big splash in free agency. And I was thinking about this last night. Walk with me here, okay? And I'm gonna make a football reference and try to make it a little bit of hockey here too. Pavel Dorofeyev was the leading scorer on the Golden Knights each of the last 2 years, scoring over 35 of each of the last 2 years. How much of Pavel Dorofeyev's production was a product of playing on a line with Jack Eichel? And listen, I'm not gonna claim to know the answer to that question, but to me, it's like playing opposite of TJ Watt on the defensive line, right?
Who
did TJ Watt get paid? Bud Dupree, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig?
Right.
I mean, those guys are good players.
Right.
But when you're playing alongside one of the greatest of all time at their position,
they get a lot. They garner a lot of attention.
They garner a ton of attention, and they get a lot of other guys paid, because when all the attention's on you, these other guys are getting.
But we don't even. And that's a great analogy. We don't even have to make an analogy. What about guys like Pacioretty? guys who actually go on to different teams and they're scoring and they're having these huge numbers here, and then they go to another organization and they're not situationally as productive because the situation has turned.
It's $11 million a year for Pavel Dorofeyev, and I understand 30 goal scorers don't grow on trees, right? And I'm not trying to knock Pavel Dorofeyev.
I mean, there's 11 guys who had back-to-back years with over 30 goals. There's only 11 guys in the entire NHL, and the thing is, he's only 25 years old. So I think
young
for the
player,
Rangers,
still developing, and the Rangers are trying to kind of build from the ground up here. So
it makes sense.
I just feel like that's a little bit of an overpay. I mean, the man's making more than Nikita Kucherov, like by a decent margin. So when you look at the goals perspective, okay, yes, you said 11 guys to score 30 goals each of the last 2 years. But when you look at he's not a point per game guy, and I understand he's a pretty strictly a goal scorer.
Right.
But when you look at his total points combined over the past 2 seasons, it's 116. That's tied for 78th.
Right. So he's not as consistent.
He's
a
not
little bit more
creating opportunities as much as he is just finishing them.
Right.
And there's a place for that. But at $11 million a year for a team like the Rangers, and he's not playing alongside Jack Eichel.
Right.
In New York, it's going to be Trocheck or Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to know if that production is going to keep up, or did Kelly McCrimmon dump a grenade on the Rangers that they just gave $11 million a year? It's going to be intriguing.
I think a lot of times you're seeking, in these circumstances, these blockbuster deals, you're seeking for a winner and a loser. And I do think at the end of the day, both teams won in this trade, and that's okay. Moving on, though, we got to go to the break because coming up, we got another great call from you. We're going to hear about a few different things. VGK, Mendoza, a lot of stuff coming up after these words. All right, welcome back to Sound Off Sports. James, let's go to one of our loyal callers, listeners, followers. Pate has a call for us.
Pate calling in before leaving on a jet plane for a holiday trip to Portland. Well, supposedly Coach Torts didn't need to make many tweaks due to the skill and experience of our veteran players. Rather, he was brought in to rev up the troops, and that he did. It worked. From Coach Craig's first interview, I noticed how soft-spoken he is, even though he has been waiting in the wings to be given an opportunity to build a culture. I wonder if he has enough fire in his belly to motivate our players. And will Kelly McCrimmon be the power behind the coaching throne? He might give Coach Craig a shorter leash than he gave the former experienced head coaches, using his influence and history with Coach Craig to call more coaching shots, more X's and O's. But no matter what, Kelly McCrimmon will probably change course if the Knights aren't in the Stanley Cup playoffs in 27.
All right, thank you so much, Pate, for that great call. As always, very thoughtful and intentional. She brings up a good point. I do think we mentioned this last time on the show with the fact that, listen, sometimes when executives make choices, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business, when you draft your guy, when you bring in your guy, that person has a little bit more leash. There's a difference when you go into a situation and you're hired by a boss, and then that boss takes another job or gets fired, and then somebody else comes in to be the new head of management. You do feel a sense of, I wonder if this person's going to like me, So the fact is, Ryan Craig is a Kelly McCrimmon disciple. This was a game plan, a thought-out thing for many, many, many months. He knew this as an assistant coach. He won as an assistant coach. He was on that inaugural staff, and Kelly McCrimmon literally sent him to the Henderson Silver Knights to get head coaching experience. So when Tortorella was brought in as a hired gun, it made perfect sense because he was going to move off Cassidy to try to retain Craig because Craig was probably going to get some interest from other organizations.
He was going to be the future. And yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with your point. because Ryan Craig is Tortorella's guy, he's going to get a longer leash than probably any other Golden Knights head coach under Kelly McCrimmon. And Pate rather had made another point regarding Ryan Craig and his ability to maybe command that veteran locker room as a young first-time head coach. I think we brought that up last week too. What is that going to look like? Because that is a very, very veteran locker room with a lot of strong personalities, as has been rumored since the end of Bruce Cassidy's tenure.
Right.
And might have been the reason for Bruce Cassidy's.
Here's my take on that, though.
Go
the
ahead.
thing is, when a coach doesn't command that same presence that a Tortorella does, they get a pass if they played. It's different when you have a quirky personality and you're a meek coach, but you really didn't play at that level. Ryan Craig's a guy who played in the NHL. He played professional hockey. So I think other players respond and respect the guy. He's only 44 years old.
I mean, Cassidy played too. I couldn't tell you the exact
But I don't know.
background,
But did Cassidy play in the NHL? I don't know.
I'm
Tortorella didn't play in the NHL. You know,
I'm
they
fairly
played.
certain Cassidy played on some sort of USA.
Okay, it could have been professional hockey, but
yes,
that's different.
I don't know if it was quite the NHL.
It's different than the NHL. We see that in the NBA. We see that in the NFL. We see that in professional sports.
Torts didn't play, but you saw the way that he affected that locker room.
He's a brash guy. He's got a huge personality. So sometimes if you had to trade that for a guy who has played but doesn't have that listen, when it comes down to it, in professional sports locker rooms, it's about being authentic. Tortorella was authentic to be who he was, which is great.
You don't think Bruce Cassidy was?
I think Bruce Cassidy was too. I'm just saying Ryan Craig can't come in and be Tortorella if he's not Tortorella. If that's his personality and he's not Mr. Fire in the Belly and he's just calm, cool, collected, kind of more reserved guy, people are going to pick up on the fact if he's trying to overdo it or exaggerate himself.
I'm with you. As long as he's authentic. And again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, you don't have to be John Tortorella to be a good head coach. You don't have to be yelling, fiery, in your face.
100%.
You can be, I'm trying to think of an NHL, or rather an NFL comparison here.
I mean, Mike Tomlin's a guy who obviously gets in your face. He's a big, bold personality. He's a player's coach, but people respond to him. And then there's other people that are a little bit more like, reserved. I feel like an Andy Reid is a reserved guy, and he still gets the best out of his players, but you can see he's a little bit more like, what's going on? You don't know what he's thinking.
He's not Dan Campbell level,
right?
Rah in your face. But yeah, I mean, again, I just, he's so young.
Do you feel like you would respond to him well if you were a player on the Vegas Golden Knights? Would you rather be coached up? Because I think I know your answer. You've mentioned the back office, but for our viewers, if you were on the Vegas Golden Knights, would you respond and play better if you were coached up by Tortorella or Ryan Craig?
Probably Tortorella. For me personally,
I need to yell at you more.
I need that kind of direct, figure it out, because you're not performing.
We need our bosses to yell at James
heck
more.
Yeah, that attaboy. I need either one of those. The reserved isn't so much for me.
Okay, see, I like all the thoughts here. Guys, coming up, guess what? We got somebody who's not reserved, a guy who shows emotion. You know what I'm talking about, Fernando Mendoza. More from that one-on-one interview up next.
You're watching Sound Off Sports, sponsored by Silver State Schools Credit Union.
All right, here's my exclusive interview with Fernando Mendoza, part 2. Take a look. Let me ask you about this, because this is where you're a unicorn, okay? You were a 2-star recruit in high school. You were going to go to Yale, okay? Yep. I mean, the other schools that were in the mix were Lehigh, University of Pennsylvania. I mean, it wasn't like the #1 schools in the country were knocking down your door. You had a higher GPA than your national star rating for football. I mean, it's the invert.
I don't understand that. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You're a 4.87 in college. In high school, you had a 4.7. It's the inverse of what usually occurs with the #1 overall pick in the draft. He's usually, a 4.7 5-star recruit with maybe a 2 GPA. So it's the opposite for you, which is so crazy. And you consistently bet on yourself, right? You go to Cal. Then you see the opportunity. Your school that was in your backyard, the Miami Hurricanes, they didn't want you. Then they kind of gave you a little bit more in NIL. You're like, no, I'm going to stay with Signetti. I'm going to go do this thing at Indiana. Tell me about the way that you bet on yourself, the chip on your shoulder. To me, you have a lot in common with Tom Brady, even though he was much further on draft pick, not the top pick of the draft. And he had to battle guys like Drew Henson and stuff in Michigan. But to me, you guys are cut from the same cloth because you got that determination. You got that will, the willingness to want to be great. Tell me a little bit of how much you see of yourself in him and how just being a 2-star recruit, how much of the chip do you really have on your shoulder?
Yeah, well, first of all, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT, and there's no comparison between me and him, especially at this stage of my career. However,
we need that.
Having researched Tom and other great athletes, having that chip on your shoulder and having a calculated chip on your shoulder is a very instrumental part to your success and growth as an athlete, in believing in yourself, taking that bet in yourself, doing everything possible to prepare and win the next game and to dominate that opponent. And those are all characteristics I carried when I was through Cal, Indiana, and hopefully to carry through the Raiders, of making sure that I can sleep well at night knowing I did everything possible. I watched every little bit of film. I did everything I needed to do on the nutrition and physical side, and mentally I was all there to best serve my teammates because I never want to let my teammates down. So if I can do those things, I can sleep well at night knowing that, hey, if it's a positive outcome, fantastic. Even if it's a negative outcome, hey, it happens. There's things to learn from it. You get better for the next experience, but at least I know I did everything possible at that moment in time.
I love it. To me, it's like I can't even find time to pick up my dry cleaning after work. And you graduate undergrad in 3 years. You're doing the MBA while you're at Indiana. Let's talk about the situation that you've walked into, because most of the time a first overall draft pick, comes into a situation that might not be as good as this one. John Spytek has done a tremendous job facilitating a situation where you have some great cornerstones. Not only did you get Tyler Linderbaum, a guy who's already been in your quarterback room, as I've heard, but him being at center, Ashton Genty providing the running game, and then you got the best security blanket ever for a rookie quarterback in Brock Bowers, your tight end. How has he facilitated a situation that's not just all about you, but it's about the team and how you're stepping into a situation as the number 1 overall pick that could be one of the best situations we've seen in a long time?
Yeah, I believe I'm blessed and I have great teammates, great coaches, and a great organization in front office. And with all those pieces being aligned of wanting to win, doing whatever it takes to win, I believe that we have a great culture brewing here in Las Vegas. And getting to learn those guys, the cornerstone pieces like you mentioned, whether it's Ashton, Brock, or Tyler, they've all been so instrumental in being able to give me advice, other rookies advice, and make sure that our young team, because we are a young team.
All right, thanks so much to Fernando Mendoza. Can't wait to see that guy play for the Silver and Black. Go to our YouTube page at Silver State Sports to check out the full interview. Well, LeBron's time with the Lakers is coming to an end. News today breaking that LeBron James, 41 years old, turning 42 this year, the 4-time champ, the 4-time MVP, he's looking to go somewhere else and continue his career, just not with the Los Angeles Lakers. James, so much to discuss here. Of course, he brought them a title in 2020 with that bubble year during COVID with AD. Ring. A lot of people think it was a Mickey Mouse ring. Maybe not.
Well, true, because it was in Disney, right? That's not even how I meant it. But yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like it doesn't mean as much because it was a bubble and there was.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. But this is a guy who's turning 42, and he literally is still one of the top 25 best players in the NBA. I mean, the guy averaged 27 assists and 6 boards a game at 41 years old.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I
mean, he's the longevity king.
He really is.
The longevity king.
You got to give him his props. He led the Lakers to a first-round win over the Rockets in the playoffs. So this is a guy who can still make an immediate impact on a team contending for titles. Of course, the Lakers are moving in a different direction. They got Luka, they got Austin Reeves.
And as they should.
and they should just try to build for the future. I'm just curious where LeBron goes. People are talking about Golden State Warriors teaming up with AD and Steph Curry. Where would you like to see him? Because
home.
You want him to
go back to the Cavs. I would respect it so much more if you finished your career where you started. Go back home, and the Cavs are a good basketball team.
They are. I mean, he'd go there. He'd have Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley.
Yeah. Go home, finish things with the Cavs. It would be storybook. It's the right way to do it. I will lose respect for LeBron if this turns into a desperation ring chase thing.
The storybook ending's already ended. He's been everywhere. He's been with the Cavs twice.
Go back home and finish it.
He's been with Miami. He's been with the Lakers. At
Wrap
this point,
up your career as it should be with the Cavs.
I would like to see him with Steph Curry. I think that would be fun.
That would be fun, right? But I just, it feels so desperate. Don't be like KD. You don't want to be like KD. Have some respect for yourself. Go back home. Do this thing the right way.
Isn't it all about titles, though? I mean, that would still be a fun.
You can compete for a title with the Cavs, and you can do it, and it would actually mean something to you. What would a title with the Warriors mean for LeBron at 42 with Steph Curry?
I mean, if you're winning a title at 42 and Steph's at, but
it wouldn't mean as much as it would for your hometown team. And I know they already won one.
But
what do you care? What do you care about Golden State and the Warriors, other than the fact you're just going there to ring chase? I hate ring chase culture. I hate it. Last thing I want to say, and then we got to wrap this up. How about the news comes out today?
Yeah.
That LeBron is moving on from the Lakers. Yesterday, Bronny's $2 million contract became fully guaranteed.
Wow.
Nuts, right?
I mean,
chess moves by the king.
You gotta
to get his kid paid.
You gotta let your child, fly the coop. That's how it goes. Tremendous stuff, James, as always. I like that point earlier that you had on Pavel Dorofeyev. Guys, thanks so much for joining us here for Sound Off Sports. I'm Mike Davis. That was James. Thanks to editor Jess. We'll see you next time here in the Den for Sound Off Sports.